Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again to really unpack some fascinating ideas and maybe find a clearer compass for understanding things. Today, we're diving into something I think hits home for a lot of us, especially if you're a parent, or even just thinking about the next generation. It feels, well, really profound. It's that question, maybe the question. What kind of person do I actually want my child to become?
Mm.
And I don't just mean, what job they'll have or grades or sports. That stuff's secondary, really. What really digs deep, what shifts my own priorities, especially as a dad, is thinking about their values, their ethics, their moral center. How are they going to navigate everything out there? How will they see themselves? It's a huge weight, that responsibility. You want them to be successful, sure, but more than that, you want them to be good, compassionate, curious, principled.
It's fundamental.
It really is. And if you start right there, from those first principles you just laid out, the question gets even sharper, doesn't it? Because today, in this world that's changing so fast, so much diversity, what does it actually mean to raise a morally grounded child? It's a challenge, and I think many parents, perhaps fathers especially, feel this keenly. They look back at their own upbringing, what they got, what they maybe didn't want, and wonder what to pass on. And this deep dive, really, it's going to explore this core tension, this trade-off almost between meaning and belonging. See, on one side, you've got the traditional places you find belonging. Think established religions, specific cultural ways, family myths even. These often give you, really clear structures, rituals, a strong sense of community. It tells a child, here's where you fit, here's your story. It feels solid. And this is the kicker for a lot of parents now, those traditions often come bundled with things that just don't sit right anymore. Literal interpretations of old stories, maybe beliefs that seem exclusionary, rituals that clash with modern values like, say, critical thinking or inclusivity. So imagine a father. He values honesty, science, treating everyone with respect. But maybe his heritage, the thing that gives his family connection, has elements he just can't endorse anymore. What does he do? Does he pass on something he questions just for the sake of that belonging? It's a tough spot. Then the other side is, more secular approaches. These often offer a kind of moral North Star, guiding principles about ethics, making the world better, things that align with humanistic values. Great, intellectually honest, but sometimes maybe they lack that emotional depth, the power of ritual, those rites of passage, that feeling of something sacred maybe. It can feel a bit abstract. So parents might wonder, how do I give my kids that deep felt sense of connection without the dogma I can't accept? How do we get both rootedness and purpose without losing integrity or curiosity? That's our mission today. We're going to explore that, drawing from Raising a Moral Child, a modern compass for purpose and connection.
That's a huge mission. And that tension you laid out, belonging versus integrity, wow. Yeah, I think that resonates deeply. It's not simple. So, okay, if we're going to untangle this, where do we start? This need for belonging, it feels so basic. Let's start right there. It's a fundamental truth, isn't it? Humans have always needed belonging. It's baked into us. And it's more than just, sticking together to survive, although obviously community was crucial for that, evolutionarily speaking. It's deeper, psychological, emotional. We are wired, literally wired for connection. We crave being part of something bigger. Family, sure, but also community, a lineage of people, maybe even the planet itself. Think about oxytocin, the bonding hormone. It's released when we connect socially. That's not random. It's an ancient system reinforcing group ties. It's vital. So belonging. It's about identity, security, knowing where we fit in the grand story. It's core human stuff. And for a long, long time, historically, this wasn't really a question. Think about tightly knit tribes or old religious communities, village life. Your place was pretty much set. You belonged. From birth. Shared beliefs, common stories, rituals, everyone did. Not much ambiguity. The challenge now, though, is modern life throws a wrench in that, doesn't it? Individualism is huge. We move around more. We're exposed to endless information online. It actually challenges that fundamental need. We're hyper-connected technologically, yet maybe more isolated, searching for those roots.
Exactly. That fundamental need crashes right into what the source material calls the modern dilemma. Because many of us as parents, we inherit things, religions, traditions, myths that do offer that belonging. They give us history, community, identity, maybe a moral code. But, and here's the rub, they might also demand we conform to beliefs we just don't share anymore, or beliefs that contradict how we understand the world now. And that mismatch, that's the tension point, especially today. Think about it. A father might love the holidays, the family gatherings from his religious upbringing, real warmth there, but maybe some literal readings of scripture or ideas about who's saved and who isn't, they just clash head on with his values of critical thought, science, universal respect. When we say literalist myths, we mean stories may be rich in meaning, but presented as hard fact when science says otherwise, like creation stories taken absolutely literally and exclusionary beliefs. That's the us versus them stuff. Only our group has the truth or salvation or is truly accepted. Everyone else is outside. Less than, maybe. So this father, he wants the roots, the connection for his child, but not at the cost of their intellectual honesty or their empathy for everyone. And today, with the internet, global perspectives, the emphasis on individual choice, it makes blind acceptance of just one tradition much harder, especially for a kid learning to think critically.
You nailed it. That's exactly the paradox. We desperately want our kids to feel rooted, anchored, to have that history and community, but we absolutely don't want them imprisoned by it. We want belonging, that deep connection, but never, ever at the cost of their curiosity or their personal integrity. It's a real tightrope. And think about the practical stuff, day to day. How do you explain certain stories central to your family's past? Stories you maybe don't believe literally anymore. How do you do that without making the kid feel disconnected from grandparents or the community? Or you celebrate a holiday. It means a lot culturally, but it's tied up with beliefs you find problematic. How do you honor the good parts, the shared experience, without endorsing the parts that conflict with your values? It's tricky with a developing mind. You want them asking questions, thinking for themselves, exploring. But you also want them secure, loved, knowing they belong. The second a tradition says stop asking questions or only these people are good, that's where integrity gets shaky. It feels like a choice between honesty and belonging. That's a hard place to put a kid. Or yourself.
Which brings us right back to that crucial question, the heart of this deep dive, really. How do we offer that vital sense of belonging without demanding they compromise intellectually or morally? Or without us compromising ourselves as parents? It means finding a way to tap into the wisdom of traditions, the community aspect, the ethics, but without being trapped by the literalism or the exclusionary bits that just don't align with a modern moral compass or a vision of an interconnected world.
Okay, so if we see that tension, and we know traditional paths might demand too much conformity, what's the alternative? What North Star, what guiding light can we offer? Something universal that gives direction, purpose, but doesn't require signing up for a specific dogma. The source material, Raising a Moral Child, apparently has an answer.
And it is powerful and deceptively simple, actually. The proposed universal purpose is this: we are on this planet to leave it better for humans than we found it. Just stick with that for a second. What's amazing is how universal it is. It doesn't belong to Christianity or Buddhism or humanism or any ism. It cuts across all of them. It taps into something really fundamental in us, that drive to contribute, to connect, to make things better. It resonates whether you think you're fulfilling God's plan or following a philosophical duty or just expressing basic human empathy. The core idea, striving to improve things for others, is pretty much universally seen as good, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it works because it gives a clear goal, something actionable, without needing belief in specific doctrines or deities. For a parent, maybe that father we talked about who's wrestling with the old traditions, this offers something compelling: a purpose-driven life based on reason, empathy, shared responsibility. It can ground a child, give direction without boxing them into one spiritual path. It's kind of an elegant solution, offering meaning that's both personal and universal, an ethical framework for everyone.
And that's where the real genius lies, I think. It's not just some lofty idea, it's practical. It gives that sense of purpose that is big enough to inspire, but flexible enough to honor their individuality. That flexibility is crucial, isn't it? It's not like, here's the one way to do it. It's a principle you can live out in countless ways, using your own unique talents and passions. And when a child really gets that their actions, their kindness, their creativity, their courage can actually make the world a tiny bit better. They start to feel connected to something huge, much bigger than just themselves. Let's make it concrete. Kid shares a toy at the playground. Small act, right? But boom, kindness made that little interaction better. Connection instead of conflict. Or maybe a kid learns coding, makes a simple app to help grandma sort photos. They're using their specific skill, their creativity, to directly help someone, making grandma's world a little better. Tangible impact. Or they see bullying, and they find the courage to step in, say something. That takes guts. But it improves the whole situation, makes the space safer, more empathetic. These aren't headline news events, they're everyday things. But each one embodies that North Star. And through doing them, the child doesn't just get told they have purpose, they feel it. They see the results. And that builds connection to people, to the whole human project. It gives daily life meaning.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, you see how focusing on improving the human condition provides real meaning, deep meaning without needing a specific belief system. It kind of answers that worry about secular path, maybe lacking emotional depth or purpose. It gives a tangible, ethical way forward. It encourages empathy, responsibility, being active in the world. Life becomes about contribution, not just personal belief or salvation. It's about collective well-being, which offers a really rich life grounded in shared human values, not potentially divisive doctrines. You find transcendence maybe through service, through making a difference. Now, even with all the challenges of traditional frameworks we've mentioned, it's really important not to just throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. Religions, ancient traditions, they're treasure troves. Our source material stresses this. Religions have always carried moral stories about compassion, honesty, courage, humility, forgiveness. Whew. These stories are powerful. They've lasted for centuries, millennia even, because they speak to deep human truths, universal ethical struggles. We can absolutely learn from them, draw wisdom from them, even if we don't buy into every single teaching or literal interpretation anymore. And this leads to a really great analogy in the source. Think of religions not as boxes to lock themselves in, but as libraries of human experience. Imagine that. Instead of feeling stuck in one tradition, a child learns that every culture, every tradition has something valuable on its shelves. They can browse, explore, engage critically, ask questions. It's like seeing how different philosophies, Stoicism, Buddhism, indigenous wisdom, whatever, often arrive at similar deep truths about how to live well, just dressed differently.
That's a fantastic analogy. A library, not a box.
Exactly. You start seeing the recurring themes. Think about the Good Samaritan story, universal compassion, right? Buddhist ideas of non-harm, indigenous stories about caring for the earth. You can present these as profound human insights, wisdom worth considering, without needing to believe the specific theology behind them. They become part of our shared human heritage. This library approach fosters curiosity, critical thinking, cultural literacy. It gives a child a much richer, broader moral toolkit.
And what's fascinating that using that library idea is how you naturally start seeing the common threads across differences, like the source says. The call to treat others well, respect life, seek truth. You engage with these diverse stories openly, and you realize, wow, these fundamental values pop up everywhere. Empathy, justice, honesty, self-control. They're valued across cultures, across time, even if the rituals or gods look different. That's a powerful realization for a kid. Builds a sense of unity. And that changes what belonging means entirely, doesn't it? It means belonging doesn't have to be about conforming to one narrow group that shuts others out. Belonging can mean connecting to all of humanity's collective story. It's huge, inclusive. It stretches across time and space. Instead of, I belong to this group and they're separate, it's, I'm connected to the whole human family, past and present. It directly tackles that exclusion problem in some traditions. It offers connection to everyone who ever tried to live ethically, make things better, understand our place here. It's wide open belonging. Global citizenship, really.
Yeah, what's so powerful there is seeing those common values emerge everywhere. It tells you something profound about our shared humanity. It's not saying all beliefs are the same, not relativism, but recognizing that beneath the surface differences, there's a bedrock of human experience leading to similar moral insights. Why else would an ancient Greek story resonate today, or a Sufi teaching echo a Native American one? These threads form a universal language of morality. A child connected to that feels part of a vast, ongoing human conversation about living well.
Right. But okay, ideas and stories are one thing. Kids also need rhythm, ritual, not just abstract concepts are really profound. Understanding the North Star, appreciating the library of traditions is vital. But children need tangible experiences too. Things that anchor them, mark time, connect them emotionally, viscerally. Rituals give that emotional depth, maybe that sense of the sacred that pure intellect might miss. This really speaks to that earlier point about secular paths sometimes feeling thin. Think about the psychology of it. Rituals create predictability, comfort, security. They frame time, the week, the seasons, life stages. And they're more than just routine. Symbolic actions stick in the memory way better than words alone. They embed values and lived experience. I remember trying to explain gratitude abstractly to my kid when he was little. Total blank stare. But then we started a little bedtime ritual, sharing one good thing from the day. It clicked. It wasn't just the word. It was the ritual itself winding down. Closeness, the shared moment. That builds security, connection. These patterns become emotional anchors.
And here's the empowering part. You don't have to just blindly inherit rituals you don't connect with. You can create your own. You have the agency to design rituals that perfectly match your family's values, your chosen North Star. This is huge for parents, maybe that father figure again, wanting to move beyond old traditions but still provide that vital emotional fabric. The source gives some great practical examples, like a weekly moment of gratitude where the family shares what they are thankful for. Simple, right? Maybe Sunday dinner. Everyone shares one thing, big or small. It cultivates appreciation, empathy, teaches kids to look for the good, articulate it, strengthens bonds. Might take effort to keep it going, sure, but the payoff is huge.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or a small ceremony before meals to remember the effort behind the food. Could be silence, a short verse you make up, a quick chat about where food comes from. So many cultures do this. It connects kids to the farmers, the earth, the whole chain. Fosters respect, mindful eating. You could even link it to ethical food choices for older kids, right back to the North Star.
That makes sense, connecting the dots.
And then a yearly tradition of service, planting trees, visiting elders, cleaning a park. This makes the North Star really active, tangible. Pick something age-appropriate. Toddlers pick up litter. Teens organize bigger projects. It builds responsibility for community, planet. Planting trees teaches long-term thinking. Visiting elders fosters compassion, fights loneliness. Park cleanup, active citizenship. These aren't just nice things to do. They embody the value of leaving the world better. Morality in action.
So what does this all mean, practically, for parents trying this? It means these created rituals aren't just teaching values. They're living them, embodying them. A kid in a gratitude circle isn't just learning about gratitude. They're feeling it, practicing it, expressing it. Cleaning the park isn't a lecture. It's doing responsibility, seeing the impact. That's the huge difference. Moral instruction versus moral immersion. Rituals make it tangible, memorable, emotional. Values get woven into daily life, become instinctive. This is how you build that emotional depth, that everyday sense of the sacred, even without traditional religion. These are the anchors, the rhythms, the shared moments that ground a child ethically. It fills that potential void.
And ultimately, kids really thrive when they get that their belonging isn't just one thing, not one single circle. The source stresses knowing they belong in many circles. Family, yes. Friends, school, local community. But also, crucially, humanity as a whole. Even the planet itself. If you limit a kid's identity to just one thing, only their family, only their religion, only their nation, it can become really restrictive. It can accidentally foster that us versus them thinking. But this layered approach, it builds resilience. If one circle feels shaky, others provide strength. And it cultivates a broader perspective, empathy, appreciation for difference. It's the opposite of those exclusionary beliefs. It promotes a global, interconnected self. It embraces diversity. It equips kids for our complex world.
Exactly. You can almost picture it, right?
Yeah.
Identity is layered like concentric circles, each widening their sense of connection. Innermost circle, family, love, trust, basic belonging, unconditional security. Then it expands. Friends, school, learning social skills, cooperation, dealing with different people. Then the local community, neighborhood, town, civic responsibility, shared spaces, local service. Then wider still, humanity. This is where those library stories, that North Star, connected to everyone, across cultures, across time. Shared human experience. And the biggest circle, the planet. Ecology, stewardship, caring for the earth and all life. Each circle adds a layer, doesn't replace the others. It just makes their sense of self, their place, richer, stronger, more expansive. It's a really holistic way to think about it.
And in that way, belonging becomes genuinely expansive, not restrictive at all. It's not about choosing one identity over others. It's about embracing all of them. Deep roots in your immediate circles, absolutely, but also open-mindedness, curiosity, connection to all of humanity, the natural world. This perfectly resolves that tension we started with, belonging without conformity, that thing that worries so many parents. A child raised like this can feel deeply rooted locally, drawing strength there, and feel connected globally, universally. It fits perfectly with the leaving the world better North Star, purpose and belonging, boundless and personal.
So wrapping up this deep dive, it feels clear. Raising a morally grounded child today, it's not about giving them a fixed rule book, a cage of answers. It's about giving them something much more useful, more lasting, a compass, not a cage, a compass that always points towards that North Star, leaving the world a little better than they found it.
Exactly. And as they navigate life, that compass guides them. It lets them learn from many traditions, those libraries of wisdom, without being trapped. They can draw inspiration from countless stories, finding those universal lessons. They find belonging in many communities, family, friends, local, global understanding. Identity is layered and expansive. And crucially, they live by rituals. Some might be inherited, sure, but many they help create, making morality real, felt, part of everyday life, giving it that essential emotional anchor.
Perhaps then, in the end, the real gift we can offer our children, and maybe ourselves too, isn't certainty. That's probably an illusion anyway. But purpose, not conformity, which shrinks us, but but connection which expands us. And not just getting by, not just survival, but a real, hopeful vision of thriving together, actively contributing, making the world better. One kind choice, one creative spark, one moment of courage at a time.